Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon. Some of you may not know where Veterans Day originated. It was first known as Armistice Day, and on November 11, 1919, it was enacted on the first anniversary of the end of World War I. And Congress then passed a resolution in 1926 for an annual observance, and November 11th became a national holiday beginning in 1938. Veterans Day honors all of those who have served the country in war or during peacetime, dead or alive, although it's largely intended to thank living veterans for their sacrifices. I never really attended a true Veterans Day ceremony until I began my teaching career 27 years ago at the Martin County Alternative Placement Center at Venters Branch. My principal, Landon Priest, a decorated veteran, came to me and said that he wanted to begin a Veterans Day program to honor all of those in our country who had served this great nation in which we live. It was the very first year for Jobs for America's graduates in Martin County, so we thought it would be a wonderful experience for our students to take part in this inaugural event. This is actually the program my students created for it. In the little gym at Venters Branch, with our JAG students speaking and our veterans recognized with such honor for the sacrifices that they had made, it was then that I began to understand the true importance of Veterans Day. I was honored to take this true pride and love of country with me to Washington, D.C. throughout the years as my students traveled to the JAG National Leadership Academy. I was able to share with them the experiences of seeing our national monuments and reminding them that those monuments stand because so many gave everything they had so that we can be afforded the rights and ability for freedom of life and liberty. Seeing Arlington Cemetery and walking the steps to the tomb of the unknown soldier with my students beside me, where we watched the changing of the guards and witnessed the true meaning of honor, dignity, and respect, was an experience I am honored to share with them each and every year. Being greeted by haunting images at the Korean War Memorial of those at war, or looking for the names of our lost loved ones on the Vietnam War Memorial. Standing behind the World War II Memorial and looking right toward the Washington Monument or left toward the Lincoln Memorial. On the horizon stands the Iwo Jima Memorial and the Air Force Memorial. Our servicemen have endured so much and given so selflessly so that we have the fundamental right to do what we want as a nation and as a people, and I believe them to be the best. As I reflect back to that first Veterans Day ceremony in our little gym so many years ago, I understand why Landon Priest made that event a priority every single year. And I'm honored to continue his tradition for the students of Jobs for America's graduates. They were there to see it begin, and hopefully we will continue to see it happen for many years to come. To our veterans, we in JAG, Kentucky, salute you.
Hi, my name is Tom Dager, and I've been asked by Ms. Hanson to participate in your Veterans Day program. I've been provided a list of questions, so why don't we go ahead and get started? First question is, what motivated me to join the military? I can say with honesty that I'd always wanted to go to college. However, my parents were not in a position to be able to afford to pay for my college. And I really did not want to amass the debt that goes along with taking out student loans. So I looked at the US military. After evaluating all of them, I chose the US Army. So, next question. Tell me a bit about your time in boot camp. I can say that boot camp is absolutely a whole lot of not fun. However, that's not its intent. Its intent is to break down the individual you and build you back up in a team. And over the course of 8 weeks, that's exactly what they did. I was cold, I was hungry, miserable most of the time, but I found camaraderie and companionship with my fellow soldiers that were going through the same experience. That bonding experience, it really brought us together, and it made me recognize the importance of a team. So what was my primary job after training? Well, I was fortunate enough to have a couple of different jobs in the US Army. My first job was called a combat engineer, 12 Bravo, and I spent the majority of my time in the Army doing that. So what does a combat engineer do? Well, they're designed to be on the battlefield and to support the infantry when it comes to either blowing up a bridge, taking out an enemy fortification, taking out enemy tanks, things of that nature. So yes, in a nutshell, my job was to jump out of planes and blow things up. Not a bad job. However, I recognize that that is not a career that has a lot of opportunity when you leave the military. So 4 years into my career, I switched jobs to computer programmer analyst, and I spent the rest of my time doing that. So where did I serve the majority of my time in service? Well, I can say that the majority of it was at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. That is the home of the 82nd Airborne and U.S. Special Forces Command. I did end up spending some time at Fort Rucker, Alabama, and then I spent several months overseas in the first Gulf War. So what rank was I the most proud to have earned, and why? Well, I was rank of specialist. It's just below a sergeant. I was very proud to earn that rank. It's not always an easy rank to earn. I was on track for sergeant until I switched careers. And in the Army, your rank can be dependent on the job you choose. And then I left before I was able to move on to that role. Tell me a bit about some of the special people you met. Wow, I can tell you right now, I've met friends for life. My first sergeant was an individual that was very motivating, to say the least, very hard charging, very driven. At the time, I did not appreciate all that he brought to my life, and from a leadership perspective, and how to be a young man. My squad leader, Sergeant Barnes, to this day, we keep in touch via Facebook. My squad mates, Bartholomew, Patrick, I could keep naming them all. These are men that I will know I can count on any time of the day or night until the day I die. So, a little bit, what was the best and worst military food you were served? Believe it or not, military food in general is not that bad, at least in when we call in barracks, when you're not in the field. You have massive kitchens, you go in, breakfast, you could have a choice of omelets or French toast or pancakes and things of that nature. So wouldn't say it was gourmet food, but it wasn't terrible by any means. On the other hand, meals ready to eat, while they've come a long way, I'm sure, were still never that good. They definitely were not that good once you spent 10 days in the field and that's all you ate. So what is a funny experience that could only happen in the military? Well, there's a lot of those. So the 82nd Airborne, again, we're paratroopers, we jumped out of airplanes. We would often play jokes on new paratroopers. We would ask them for the keys to the drop zone. You know, if we jumped in, how are we going to get off the drop zone if you didn't have the key to unlock the gate? Or we would ask our young troopers to bring us something strange that they didn't understand that was a joke itself. One of the funnier events that I ever had was one evening where it was so cold on one of the missions we were on that you had 5 guys stacked up on top of each other, basically trying to stay warm in their respective sleeping bags. We looked like a bunch of caterpillars. It was both funny and not funny at the same time. So finally, how did the military experience affect my life today? I can say without a doubt that there has been no experience in my life that has been remotely what my time in the US military was like. The camaraderie, the shared experiences, the friends for life, all of these things impacted me in ways that are too many to count. Leadership as well. I learned an incredible amount about leadership, but probably the biggest thing I learned was the Army's motto, improvise, overcome, and adapt. And basically, it is teaching you to take any given situation, figure out how to make it work, how to overcome it, how to adapt to it, and make it the best outcome you can make it. And that, for me, has probably been the most profound impact from my time in the US Army. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned a little bit about me, a little bit about my service, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Whether it be a family member, a friend, a neighbor, most of us are fortunate to know someone who has proudly and honorably served our country. I'm no exception. My grandpa is a Vietnam War Navy veteran, and because of people like him, we are able to live in peace today. We owe a tremendous amount of gratitude towards those who have served, and we must remember their sacrifice and keep our promise to our veterans by giving them the recognition that they deserve. This hits home for me as I was able to see my cousin and fellow Martin County native Jacob Andrew Horn's name at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. My grandpa was called to escort his body home after he was killed in an ambush attack in Vietnam in 1967. For this, he received a Purple Heart and was also honored in a documentary called Honor in the Valley of Tears. I think this just goes to prove my point that it is not just about thanking veterans for their bravery and their actions, but also remembering and honoring them. Their sacrifice is meaningless without remembrance. In America, veterans, past, present, and future, are where we may derive hope and assurance. I hope everyone goes and thanks a veteran today. Not only today, but every day we think of them and we remember the sacrifices they make, as well as the sacrifices that their families have had to make.
Bobby Hill, grandfather of Aaron Tackett. Richard Castle, grandfather of Lindsay Castle. Thomas Harold Justice, uncle of Carson, Corey, and Miss Marcy Hanson. Billy Joe Justice, uncle of Carson, Corey, and Miss Marcy Hanson. Kenny Maynard, Sheldon Clark High JAG Kentucky alumni. Carl Morris, father of JAG Phoenix Horizon Specialist Angela Morris. Russell Stepp, grandfather of Caitlin Ward. Norvin Klein, father of Andrea Klein and grandfather of Carly Klein, Courtney Oker, and Jasmine, Jayla, and Bailey Dawes. Quentin Crum, grandfather of Bethany Crum Tackett. William R. Chappell, cousin of JAG Regional Leader Jennifer Henson.
Landon Priest, cousin of Miss Hanson and Carson Hanson, father of Anna Priest Cook, uncle of Brady, Morgan, Maddie, and Amanda Priest Baker. Roy Allen, uncle of Lila Spalding. Dennis Hanson, grandfather of Carson and Corey Hanson, father-in-law of Miss Marcy Hanson. Alex Jaramillo, cousin of Lila Spalding. Danny Joe Allen, uncle of Lila Spalding. Gary Priest, grandfather of Brady and Morgan Dingus and Maddie Priest. Uncle of Amanda Priest Baker, Anna Cook, and cousin of Miss Hanson and Carson. Lehman Ward, uncle of Miss Hanson, Carson, and Corey Hanson. William Gopel, grandfather of Levi and Sophie McCoy. Ernest Fannin, uncle of Levi, Sophie, Carson, and Miss Hanson. Jason McCowan, brother-in-law of longtime Clay ATC specialist Bill Crockett.
Jeremy Jenkins, brother-in-law of JAG Regional Leader Loranda Smith. Donna Franklin, aunt of Loranda Smith. Tyrone Smith, cousin of Loranda Smith. Marion Smith, uncle of Loranda Smith. Timothy Givens, cousin of Loranda Smith. Denise Jones, sister of Loranda Smith. Rob Sanders, cousin of Loranda Smith. Rob Alexander, cousin of Loranda Smith. James Brady, cousin of Loranda Smith. Lonzo Ward, uncle of Carson, Corey, and Mrs. Marcy Hanson.
Michael King, grandfather of Lindsay Markham. Michael Walker, father of Braden and Sarah Walker. Donald Watkins, uncle of Bethany Crum Tackett. Clayton Meade, grandfather of Cameron Dials. Eddie Spalding, uncle of Lila Spalding. Richard Fannin, stepdad of Justin Barker. Robin Merle, mother of Reese Merle. Brad Priest, cousin of Blake Butcher. Sixton Sandridge, father of Warren East Middle's Anita Sandridge. Bill Butcher, uncle of Blake Butcher.
Lorenz Priest, grandfather of Blake Butcher. Ronald Priest, grandpa of Blake Butcher. Harrison Harvey, cousin of Blake Butcher. Hiram Priest, cousin of Blake Butcher. Robert Priest, uncle to Blake Butcher. P.J. Newland, brother of Ava Fletcher. James William Robinson, father of Middlesboro JAG specialist Jane Cameron. George David Roddy and H.B. Hauser, relatives of Warren East JAG's Deborah Cox. Thomas Williams, grandfather of Lakin Williams. Taylor Fitch, grandfather of Matthew and Dylan Fitch.
Urshel Smith, husband of Clay County Specialist Sherry Crockett. Janet Dan, sister of Barberville Specialist Kathy Sue Smith. Tom Dan, brother-in-law of Barberville Specialist Kathy Sue Smith. Leo Butcher, father of Simon's Middle School Specialist Linda McKee. Paul Muncy, grandfather of Drake Muncy. Donna Franklin, cousin of JAG-KY Regional Leader Loranda Smith. William Brady, cousin of Loranda Smith. Carmen Young, cousin of Loranda Smith. Nim Mullet, father of Hannah, Nick, and Holly Mullet. Norman Simpson, brother of Warren East Middle School Anita Sandwich.
Buford Horn, grandfather of Kyla Horn. Harold Williams, uncle of Lakin Williams. Garman Priest, uncle of Levi and Sophie McCoy. Kevin Williams, father of Lakin Williams. Charles Lee Jarvis, grandfather of Lakin Williams. Junior Jackson, grandfather of Gracie Snyder. Hadavia Hensley, grandfather of Mary Sally. Alfred Lee Sally, grandfather of Mary Sally. Oscar Skeens, grandfather of Julia Warren. Billy Castle, uncle to Johnson Central Specialist Mike Castle and grandfather to JC's Joe and John King.
Billy McCoy, uncle of Sophie and Levi McCoy. John Maynard, cousin of Tori Crum. James Ashland Castle, uncle to Johnson Central JAG Specialist Mike Castle, John, and Joe King. Steve Simpson, brother to Warren East Middle School's Anita Sandage. Terry Lee Dalton, father of Jordan Dalton. Donnie Snyder, uncle of Carson and Corey Hansen. Cole Rader, JAG alumni. John Washburn, father of Matthew Washburn. Jim Denninghoff, grandfather of Paris JAG's Gabe Arnett. Carrie Shelton, grandfather of Paris JAG's Reagan Steele. Tasha Mitchell, mother of Paris JAG's Jaden Mitchell. George Graham, father of Paris JAG Specialist James Bruce. Carol Hansen, grandfather of Carson Hansen. Ira Maynard, grandfather of Andrew Haney.